Supercoach 360.
Supercoach 360. Animation.
Supercoach 360 podcast.
Guy, you got some pods for us, mate?
All right, we'll smash through them. So first up now, that front row spot, backing up from obviously other than Haas, but the few pods at the front row that interest both me and Con. We're looking at, I had a few very low to Powell and Clemmer, both 1%, Fodder Waker as well, 1.4. But the ones that really stood out, Josh Papali, I like at 3.4. I know generally he's more of a buys or later in the year option. But the one I know Con likes is Luke Thompson at 3.6%.
Yeah, I do like Lukey. He was showing some offload ability in the trials too, so that was a good sign for me. Dual position, which is always valuable.
Yeah. So look, I'm on AFB with at the moment, but yeah, out of those, I actually like Papali probably as the best pod option in the front row.
Oh, I know he's a bit higher, but I like Tarpany. I've got Tarpany at the moment. He's at just under 9%.
Yeah, Tarpany's up at about 9%. Yeah,
3K. He's my pick of that bunch.
Did have good trials.
But he's almost the same as the AFBs and the Tapowers and the Clemmers and the Papalis. They're all about that 500k.
Yeah, that's it.
mark.
They're all around the same.
But you're trying to look at the one that's going to go.
Tarpany comes out and explodes.
Which one's due to go next level? And Tarpany for years, years. We've been saying, oh, fucking Tarpany.
Since Newcastle.
He's going to be good. And he just, I don't know if he hasn't had opportunities or what's happened, but he's got it in him to go good. You know,
He'll probably be around 28 too now, so he'd be
matured,
coming into his prime.
Yep. All right. The next one I had, which I really like, Momirovski at 2.4%. That Roosters a right edge, 486k. It's a bit pricey, but look, if he was kicking goals, it'd probably be that sealing the deal.
Well, we've said it ourselves. If he's not locked into that Roosters wing spot, if he ends up a centre, then a lot of the ball cuts him out by the end, you know. And sure, he kicks the goal, but it's not like handing the ball on for a line break try assist. You know, it's 2 points or 4 points for kicking goal in it.
Yeah, but if he kicks 7 or 8 a game.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's playing for the Roosters, and on that right wing, he's going to bag a few tries.
Could they do you remember years ago when Cameron Smith kicked one side and someone else kicked the other side?
No.
No? Alright, don't worry about it.
Well, anyway, next one, Nofaluma, 2.5. Again, I probably think you're better off spending the 20k extra to get Momirovski out of the two.
Oh, nah, for me, I like
the Tigers.
It's not about the Tigers. Nofo does his own shit. Tigers have been the Tigers for fucking 20 years, guys. Nofo's been scoring, sure he had an off year last year, but prior to that, he's been one of the guys to have in your side from the centre wings.
Well, that's what I mean. They're mostly about 400 or 500 Ks, all these players, and they're just whether you want to go on. All right, like if I put these all in the category of centre wing, I had Momirovski, Nofaluma, then I had which Garrick, he was a bit more expensive, which we had, so he deserves to be in the pod range. But then we also had Thompson and Katoa from the Sharks. Ramian and Katoa from the Sharks, and then Thompson and Brian Kelly from the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
So they're all around that same mark. They're all lowly owned. It's just kind of jagging who can get that run of good points. Titans have a good draw, so do Sharks.
Well, we know Corey Thompson. He's a worker, you know, and Kelly does his own shit too. Like, he does his own things. Kelly, he seems to accumulate points out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, my favourite, as we mentioned last week, was Marzu, but he didn't get named. So, I mean, out of all those centre wings, the one I actually probably like, I mentioned last week, was Sione Katoa from the Sharks with that high ceiling. But I do like Momirovski. I think he's probably the one. If you had the goal kicking, I would have probably gone. But I'm just not paying that much for a centre wing.
You look at the price BMOS ended up on that wing last year. He ended up nearly 900k.
Yeah.
So the points are there.
Yeah. But I think with him, if you see that in the first few weeks, you could jump on him. It's just with all the Roosters' backline depth, it's just a bit too much risk for me. But yeah, so and also I just don't like spending that much at centre wing. I'm doing it for one player, my boy, but he's an exception because I don't count him as a centre winger. But anyway, we'll move on. Next up on the list, Sam Walker, 7%, and Cody Walker 7.7 in the halves. I actually like Sam much more as an option. I know most people are going Keary, who I actually had as an antipod because he was 21%. But yeah, I actually much prefer Sam Walker. Do you boys like Sam Walker, or you said you're on Moses before?
Yeah, I'm more. Look, just because if Sammy Walker hasn't evolved his game, and you know what, sometimes it does take a little bit for a younger bloke to wrap his head around not but doing the same shit over and over, which does worry me. He likes to throw that loop and cut out. Everyone's onto that now. That's an intercept try.
But he's got Teddy. He's got
I know he's got these guys, but he's at 540 odd thousand. Like, I expect a job, and I know Mitch Moses will probably give me that job more so than him. Now that he'll probably take a bit more of a backseat to the senior Keary, whereas last year it was sort of his side.
Yeah. Maybe I've been brainwashed by our lovely fan Timmy Moody, because he's been convincing me that Roosters are going to not lose a game for the first half of the season and smash team by 20, 30 points.
They might not lose a game, but does he give that first initial pass to Luke Keary and that just cancels out anything he's done?
Well, if he's goal kicking, regardless, he's going to score a lot of points.
Yeah, but
I know Moses goal kicks as well, but I think
if you look back the last 2 or even 3 years when they had Sammy Walker there doing it, he still had low weeks of 20.
But he also had
you had Flano,
massive. I think he had a bigger score than Moses ever had, and he hasn't played that many games. Sam Walker had a massive ceiling on him.
Yeah, I think he got a 150 score.
He had a big score.
Look, he's in the side to do it, but there's also video on him this year. There was no video on him last year.
Yeah.
People know his favoured foot to step off. People are going to know what way his favoured way is to pass, whereas last year it was probably not so much video on it, if you know what I mean. Now they've had 10 games of him, 12 games of him.
Yep. All right, the last few. I had Ponga here at 7%, but I don't really like it now that Papi's named. It was more of a, if Papi wasn't, more of a pod move.
Still, but you know what, to be honest, like, it's not a bad option, Ponga. Like, he cracked his big scores last year a couple of times. He just, for me, gets lazy, and if he could get rid of that laziness, he'd be up there.
Oh, if you could get him at 5'8" like we used to, he'd be 100% in there. But yeah, just the fullback spot's just too hard. There's too many better options. But the last position I had was the second row. So there's a few here. Murray at 7%. Lucy and Tupanua combined together at 7%. I honestly prefer Murray out of all of them. Out of those two, anyway. I don't really like those two. Con threw in Lucy. Curran at 6%. Maddo at 5.4%. And Kickow as well, which Con added in at 4.1. Out of all those, I think Maddo's probably my pick of the lot.
Just contract year for Maddo.
Playing lock. I actually prefer him in the middle. He's got good work rate. Should get the minutes.
Got good hands, man.
Well, you know, like Tupanua I can't do. I've seen too many low scores from him. Kickout as well just goes missing too much for me. Doesn't have the work rate.
With Tupanua low scores though, were they Tupanua low scores when he was plugging holes and getting thrown out at centre and they didn't have recognised halves? Because if you look for when Luke Keary was playing, his first three games there were good. He scored well with Luke Keary in the side.
Yeah, I don't know. Just a 480k. I just think there are better options. Like, I know Curran's 100k more. Same with Murray. And Maddo virtually almost 100k more than Lucy. But yeah, I just think at second row you don't want to go those mid-range options like Aitken. Like, for example, in my anti-pod list, I had Aitken at 20%, Keary at 20%, Tino at 20%, Marnie at 20%, and Cobbo and Hastings up at 25%. So, it's only because they're highly owned that I don't like them. Like, if Hastings was 5% owned, he'd be a lot more appealing to me. But if a quarter of the teams are on him, I'm happy to stay off. Same with Cobbo, since he's not at fullback, don't like him. Marnie, I'm just not sold from last year on his attacking points.
Supercoach 360 podcast.